Good afternoon, guys. Good morning. Good afternoon. Good evening. Wherever you're from, whoever you are, hope you're doing well. Hope you're having a good day. I hope you're ready to make some money, potentially. We'll see how this goes. But yeah, I hope everyone's doing well. We'll just give it 1 second to make sure everyone's joined up. I'm no longer doing announcements, so if you're new here, make sure you subscribe, all that lovely stuff. But we have transitioned to an hour earlier in the UK. If you're in the UK, if you're in Europe, something like that, it is now an hour earlier as the clocks have gone back by 1 hour. But yeah, I hope you're doing well. Hope you're doing great, in fact. And I hope you're ready to make some money. We're going to see how this goes for the next half hour. And yeah, obviously we've got to factor in the election coming up in 5 days. 6 days, something like that. I'm going to be obviously reminding you of that near enough every single day to keep it in the back of your mind so that you don't make any stupid mistakes. It's now more important than ever that you're risking 1% per trade. We're going to hop onto the fundamentals now. Make sure everyone's here. Right then. Right, good morning, guys. How you doing? Like the stream if you're new. Subscribe. I'm live every single day at the same time for New York session. This is where I trade in front of you, doing my analysis live, ready for the day, ready for the week, in fact. And, you know, it's never really a short 5-minute time frame where we hop on the charts and start looking for trades, take the trade and let it play out on stream. It's typically, you know, we either enter the trade on stream or we basically look for the entry. I would basically tell you exactly what I want to see, and we wait for that to happen. Now, we did take a trade yesterday, which ended in a very quick loss, and that was basically, you know, a very sloppy loss. I kind of only took that because we were on stream. I wanted to take a trade on stream live. We took a loss. I've reflected on that in the Discord server if you want to see that. I'm not going to be talking about that anymore. We're moving on, getting better, and seeing the mistakes we made and fixing them. If you're new here, subscribe. Live every single day at the same time for New York session. If you're from Europe, if you're in the UK, the clocks have gone back by 1 hour. That's why I might be live an hour earlier in your time zone. But yeah, we're ready to continue. So as I just said, I'm going to repeat myself a little bit here, guys, but the election is on the 5th of November. So make sure you're being extra careful, extra cautious, only taking the perfect setups. Nothing based on intuition, nothing based on extra risk management, nothing based on bigger risk, nothing stupid. You need to trade exactly how you normally would, but even more. Take it even more seriously. Be even more strict with it. Okay? What we're going to do now is we're going to look at the fundamentals very quickly. Then we're going to hop onto the charts. There is a position lining up on GJ, which we're going to get into very shortly. But fundamentally today, they released this at 2:48. And a little bit of a gem here. Why is the Bank of Japan tentative with their policy rates? Why? That's because, and I went over this in yesterday's video, I think, when we have days with no news, it's basically, we don't know when the volume is going to be coming in. We don't know when the volatility is going to be coming in. That's the same thing with tentative news. And people will not, what will happen is before the news release, leading up to the news release, people will tend to anticipate it. They'll obviously buy if they think it's going up, but they sell if they think it's going to go down, stuff like that. So what the Bank of Japan do, which is very clever, they have it tentative. It's very spontaneous times. It's obviously throughout the night. It's always early morning, but it's very spontaneous, like 2:48 a.m. Who's going to predict that? Who's predicting that? Usually it's 2:45. If anything, it'll be 2:45, not 2:48. You know what I mean? So with that, you basically need to understand that we don't know when the volatility is coming into the market. So we didn't know when that was necessarily going to happen. We just had to wait until it did, so then we can trade it. Same with the speeches. They typically do start at 6:30 though. But yeah, we've had that to look out for. That's affected the markets a little bit. We've had the USD news at 12:30, which has affected the markets a little bit, which is the standard stuff. Now we're heading into the rest of the day. We don't really have anything to worry about in terms of red folder news. But obviously we've got the election coming up sooner rather than later. Make sure you're liking up the stream, guys. If you're new here, subscribe. I'm live every single day. I'm no longer making announcements in the Discord server. Now we're on the charts. We've got the fundamentals out the way. I think there's a gold trade, which we might be looking at here, depending on this close. We've got a fair value gap right here, so we'll have to see how price reacts to that. Plus, there is no top wick on the 4-hour candle, so we have to be a little bit careful here. I think there's no top wick. Yeah, there's basically no top wick on the 4-hour candle, so we could respect this, flip, and continue up. But we've reached all-time highs. If we start trying to invert this, we can look at taking an entry around about here with our stops just above this fair value gap right here and take something along these lines. Now, on GBP JPY, what we're looking at here is basically like the same thing, like AMD again, but we've got an accumulation right here. We filled the gap that we made here. As you can see, we filled this gap. We've closed it, which is perfect. That's good. We don't necessarily have to do that anymore. Now we can start looking at trades. So in terms of trades, we've got this higher time frame, external AMD. Now we did have an internal AMD cycle inside of this, but this is also an external AMD cycle as well. So we've got manipulation now to the downside. We've manipulated down. We've filled this gap, took IRL, you know. So, hey Dan, how's it going? On our way down, we made a bearish fair value gap, as you can see right here, which is the only thing contradicting our trade entry. So what we want to do is we want to see how this 4-hour candle closes. We've got 3 hours and 22 minutes left. If we close inverting this fair value gap, we can go to a lower time frame, look for some retest of this fair value gap, and then take a trade up to this 4-hour up here to the other side of this range. And that's it. Like, that's pretty much what we want to look for. In terms of lower time frame stuff, on the 1 hour, you know, it's near enough the same situation here, but it's more internal. You can see we've got an accumulation, manipulation, distribution here. 15-minute, what's that saying? You know, we've got I think the 15-minute does kind of contradict this, although we do have a very internal cycle right here. If we go to the 5-minute, you can see we have a very clear AMD cycle. And this adds to my point, guys. AMD, any market tool ever, really, is fractal. Accumulation, manipulation, distribution here with a candlestick pattern nice at the top. So we'd expect price to come down here and then we can see what's going on with that. But realistically, we'd want to see price closing outside of this range on the 4-hour time frame. We want to see a close above this bearish fair value gap that we've just made. If we respect this, we could look at taking sells. That might align with AD, but I don't really trade AD. I trade AMD. So, you know, you could look at taking sells here with stops just above this, coming down to here. And that would make perfect sense. I'm not going to take that, though. If we close outside this range, I will trade this. I'll trade this move. I'll look for buys, seeing how this goes. Maybe if we go to the 1 hour, if we close outside on the 1 hour, we could do the same thing. So we push up on the 1 hour, come down, and then take a move to the upside just like that. That would be nice as well. Bitcoin is consolidating. I think I'm out this trade. We could take a re-entry though. Yeah, I'm out this trade, but we could take a re-entry if we delete that. Very, you know, external accumulation here, but we could take a re-entry if we have this accumulation right here, then manipulate down. If we take out this liquidity over here, we can then look at trading that reversal to the upside, taking out the weekly, making all-time highs. And I'm ultimately bullish on Bitcoin anyway, so it would make sense to take a buy on here. As I said, GBP JPY, we're just looking for that close outside the range, and on gold, it's something similar. We're looking for sells if we invert this fair value gap here. Sounds too low. Turn it up then. But my mic's, I I'm not messing around with my mic. I'm not messing around with that. Let me know if it's on maximum volume, and I'll have a look. But yeah, so this is what we're doing. What we got to see. I do want to start looking at November 5th. Now that is going to be a Tuesday, I believe. Yes, it is. So we've got the presidential election all day on Tuesday the 5th. So I think I might be doing a stream all day, near enough all day, from like 12 o'clock till 5 o'clock. Just a special stream. But I won't be trading today. I will not be trading that week at all. Like, I don't think I'll take one trade. But I'll be doing a election special stream in a suit and tie and stuff like that. I think it'd be quite funny, quite a laugh. But yeah, the presidential election. Now we've gone over this a few times, but we are starting to factor in a Donald Trump victory. You should, if you want to get into the nitty gritty, you can educate yourself on what's going on with it. But there's a lot going back and forth between each party. But you should know that Trump is kind of pro Bitcoin. He's pro Forex, pro crypto. So it's kind of like we'll get a relief rally if he wins. That's what it's called, a relief rally. It's like, okay, he's won. Now we're going to continue up. If Kamala wins, she's quite for regulating crypto. She's quite for that, which is not necessarily a good thing or a bad thing, but typically people don't like it. So if Kamala wins, crypto will go down. If Trump wins, it will go up, basically. But there's going to be a lot of back and forth. There's going to be a lot of volatility, not only in the markets, but also in who we think's going to win. Which will then translate to volatility in the markets. You really need to educate yourself on this. If you do not think it will affect you, if you do not care, you're going to get burned. It's as simple as that. I'm teaching you it now, but I don't really think you'll take it into account until you actually feel the consequence of that. No, that's fine. That's perfectly fine. But what I want to do is educate you on how you can avoid this and how you can deal with this without getting burnt. And if you do get burnt, you'll know how to fix it. But, people tend to just like signals. Very lazy. So, this is what we're looking for on here. We're looking for that move to the upside, close outside the range on the 4 hour on GBP JPY. There's not really much else to cover today. Like, these are very weirdly short streams. I don't really know what else I'm supposed to talk about now. What we can do is we can look at other pairs though. So, we got GBP USD. People like that one. GBP USD. We'll add that in. We got Swiss franc JPY. Add that in. We got Euro USD. And we got AUD USD as well. Add that in. We'll leave them here for now. So, GU, what's going on here? Well, that's straight away you can see what's happened here. This didn't really play out how I thought it was going to. But we've got a very clear consolidation right here. Very, very clear. If we go to the daily, it might even be, yeah. So we've got a very clear consolidation right here and here. What we want to look for is price to manipulate into a higher time frame for value gap. So if we go to the daily time frame, we can look for areas to do that in. Now we have done that. We've done that. So this setup isn't really looking the best already. We've got that accumulation, manipulation, and then we've got another accumulation into this fair value gap right here, as you can see. And as you know, I like to trade very explosive moves. I like to see price accumulate, then manipulate into a fair value gap, and then distribute down. But we're not getting that. What we're getting is an accumulation into a fair value gap. So if we manipulate down, it doesn't really make much sense. And if we manipulate up, there's not really anywhere to manipulate into. Like, there's this area right here, but we've already filled this multiple times. So there's no point doing that. It's not really the best setup, but we have got an accumulation. So we're just going to move on from GBP USD. GBP Swiss franc. We've almost got what we wanted to see. We wanted to see a candlestick pattern form here, and then we could look to trade that to the other side, maybe to this imbalance over here. But that's what we've got. It's starting to play out. As you can see, we've got that accumulation. We've got that manipulation to the upside. It just looks like we're inverting this fair value gap. So I'll have to see how that goes. Euro USD. Very straightforward. Accumulation, distribution to the downside, taking out this liquidity over here. Now we just got to wait for that next consolidation, and then we can look to trade this. Pretty straightforward. Get that consolidation. Once we start consolidating, you can look to trade that on the 1 hour time frame though. What's going on over here? I'm actually going to move to 15. If we go to the 15, it's very, very sloppy. Got a nice accumulation here. Manipulation, distribution, which means the same things occurring here. We've got to look for that accumulation. You can wait on the 4 hour if you want, or you can wait for the 15. If we wait for the 15, once we get this accumulation, we can look for areas to manipulate into. So if we go to the 1 hour time frame to look for fair value gaps, the higher time frame stuff, I think we have come into one over here. So we'd look to come back into this resistance over here. There we are. So if we accumulate, around about here, we can then look at manipulating up into this fair value gap and then distributing back down. And if this candle closes like this, we can look at this fair value gap right here and basically manipulate into that. We'll have to see how it goes when we start accumulating and stuff like that. AUD USD looks good, starting to line up nicely. We've got a nice accumulation here. We've got a nice fair value gap right down here. So if we go to the higher time frame, not much, not the best. But we could look to come down to this, manipulate down as we do. We've got a nice accumulation. If we manipulate down to here, look for that candlestick pattern, which is always going to be the morning star, then we can take that trade to the other side of the accumulation range, as we always do. The only thing is we won't have liquidity on our side for this. Let's go to Swiss franc again, see what's going on here. You can see a very clear AMD cycle right here on the 1 hour. So if we go to the 15, it's basically the X phase, this. So what you'd wait for on here is another accumulation to occur if you want to trade the lower time frame stuff. GBP USD, just an absolute mess, completely high time frame accumulation, manipulation, stuff like that. We've got a very clear AMD cycle here on the 1 hour time frame on USD JPY. Accumulation, manipulation, potential distribution to the upside. But yeah, GJ not looking the best for this. Gold starting to melt down, which is nice. Bitcoin in the manipulation phase. What we need to see is that candlestick pattern, but there's no real fair value gap. I think if we're going to manipulate anywhere, it's going to have to be here if we're going to take an entry. See how that goes. GBP/JPY, that's what we got to look for there. Looks like we're respecting that, so it may not end up playing out how we want it to, but we'll see how it goes. Honestly, guys, don't really have much else to cover. This week is going to be a very weird week because of that election. The markets are very different, very strange this week. You're going to see it, and you've probably seen it. You probably noticed it yourself. The election's coming up. We're heading into a very rough period. It's going to be very hard to maneuver this, especially when you're looking at the higher time frames. So we may adjust to the 5 minute and the 15 to kind of take a lot more quicker, fast-paced trades. Maybe take some live as well, seeing how it goes. Maybe trade the 1 minute. Do some back testing. I'll see how that goes. But yeah, our plan. We just got to wait for the setups. Got to be patient, and then once it occurs, once the setups occur, we can take those trades properly. It is about patience now. Yeah, I think trading more than one strategy gets a little bit weird. I could trade multiple setups, but trading more than one strategy, I don't really know many traders who trade more than one strategy and do it consistently profitably. I know a few people who trade different setups, but different strategy. I don't think it's worth your time, especially if you're asking me that question as someone who isn't a profitable trader. Just focus on one strategy. Like, you don't need to learn 3 strategies at once. You learn one strategy, master that, then move on to another one, master that. And that's if you want to move on to the other ones. Like, you don't necessarily need to. I think if you're looking at different strategies so you can trade more, all you have to do is look at the same strategy on different pairs that don't correlate with each other. But yeah, I don't really know many traders who actually trade multiple strategies profitably, consistently. And if you're asking me that as someone who isn't profitable in themselves, what I would say to you, a lone boy, is just trade one strategy and one strategy only. Nothing more, nothing less. You don't need to confuse yourself. You don't need to overwhelm yourself. And it's just going to take longer for you to get profitable. Think about it. If you're trying to master 3 strategies at once, do you think you'll get profitable? Do you think you'll become profitable in the same amount of time it takes someone to master one strategy on its own? No, you won't, because you're mastering 3 times the amount of strategies, which takes 3 times the amount of time. Plus, you're doing it once, which means it's going to take longer. So, yes, I only trade one strategy. That is why. Gold melon. Let's go. Could look at taking an entry now, guys. Could look at taking the entry. We've got the candlestick pattern. We're at all-time highs. We look to come down to the other side of this range, but we've melted to the downside a lot. No retracements, really. So we'd look for a retracement here. That's what we'd want to see. Then we could start taking an entry if we want to risk it before the close. I'm probably going to wait till the close, though. Let's see how that goes. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much the stream. Like, there's not really much else to share now. Pretty dead markets. Pretty dead stream, in my opinion. Not really much to discuss, not much to talk about, not much to teach. We just got to wait for that setup to occur. Got to stick to the plan, trade the plan, wait for the perfect setup. Nothing more, nothing less. Patience is a virtue, and patience is the key to profitability. If you're someone who is on the markets all day, scrolling through 50 different types of markets, trying to look for a trade, not waiting for the setup to come to you, you're not going to get profitable. You're going to go around in circles. Then you'll realize you need to trade less, and then you'll become profitable. So word of advice, trade less. Less is more, especially in trading. You do not need to trade as much as you think you do, and you do not need to trade every single day. If you want to take a trade, if you're trying to force a trade, backtest, go and do some backtesting, review your journal. There's other stuff you can do to improve as a trader other than trading. Now, if you're trying to trade so you can get the rush of being in a trade, that's gambling, that's an addiction, not healthy. Get out of that habit as soon as possible. How do you get out of that habit? Well, first thing you need to do is acknowledge it, and then you need to feel the suffering of, or the consequences that will come from being undisciplined, having that addiction. You will feel the consequences. When those consequences occur, acknowledge it within yourself, then use the solution I've just given you to fix it. That's how you master trading psychology as a whole. That's how you master trading in general. But yeah, if you feel like you're going to force a trade, backtest, stick to the plan, have a clear plan. If you don't have a clear plan written out in front of you, when you're trading, you will not get profitable, and you will only lose trades until that happens. Take my advice. Don't take my advice. I don't care. I'm giving you the key. You can choose to use it or not to use it. But yeah, stick to the plan. This is the plan. We've ran through the setups. That's all we need to discuss today. If you feel like you're gonna overtrade, go and do some back testing. Like, subscribe. I'm on live every single day to 1:30 p.m. BST or CMT, whatever the time zone is, GMT.